This is how it happened. This is how Akasan watched Batman v Superman.
Akasan's honest reactions. Akasan coming down from the Dawn of Justice movie I watched. You know, I got a lot of sleep last night. I rested up, checked the comments, and you know, it is what it is. It's almost finished, basically. Fool me once, Man of Steel. Fool me twice, BVS. Never again. like Batman Beyond. That's it. In terms of Snyderish films, I feel at this point in time. However, Zack Snyder films are dead. Considers this mercy. Next time they show a trailer, ignore it. Anyways, what was I gonna say? Let's get into, like, to just finally cap this off. Although we might have that discussion on Monday, Japan Standard Time, when Trinity shows up. That's gonna be something interesting. Anyways, I think there's something I owe somebody money for. Hold on a second. There's something I was going to tell you. Yeah. Okay. There's somebody I owe money, but later. Anyways, let's wrap this up here and just put a cap on this with how it should have ended by my boys. How it should have ended. Like Batman and Superman, the coffee guys. It's so weird to me, actually. I've said this before, but it's so weird that these guys, or at least this Superman, is closer to what I feel Superman is. Or I don't know how to explain it. But anyways, I really want to see how they felt this movie should have ended. They put this one up real fast. Really fast. So I had to ignore it for like 2 weeks. Alright, here we go.
Hello everyone.
Yo.
I don't really do reviews much on our channel apart from how it should have ended shorts. That's because I don't really enjoy being on camera, and partly because I'm usually working on how it should have ended videos. But occasionally I do get really excited about certain movies, and sometimes I...
It's a review. Should we just stick with this?
I want to hear my opinion about Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
A quick summary type first, and then we can dive into...
Tyrone did it too, right? Let's see what he thinks.
Okay, Dawn of Justice, or some of you have been calling it Batman v Superman for the last 3 years, is the incredibly ambitious follow-up to Zack Snyder's ever so popular, universally enjoyed, not controversial Superman origin story, Man of Steel. I'm kidding. People love to hate Man of Steel because it's so different from your classic Superman. And Dawn of Justice is just like its predecessor. It's an epic follow-up with so much stuff crammed into one movie that it actually sort of feels lacking because of it.
Yes.
Does the movie suck? Did you hate it? These are the questions I've been getting. Listen, if you want to bandwagon hate a film, I think the DC Universe has lots of material for you. But if you want to take the DC Universe for what it is, and judge it on its own attempts to maybe be a little different, I do not think the movie sucks. It is, however, extremely joyless.
I think disagree with that other point.
It never gets to that feeling we all want a superhero movie to have.
True.
But it is trying to get there, very slowly.
Very
slowly. DC Universe is very dark and grim, and it takes itself very seriously, and I think that kind of ruins it for a lot of people. But that's what the movie is.
Like Watchmen.
DC seems to be carrying on with what Christopher Nolan began, and in The Dark Knight, the theme is the night is darkest before the dawn. And if you look at the transition that is happening here,
the dawn is
this
coming.
movie being the dawn of justice, I hope that means we are in the dark stage, and things are about to turn into everything we have hoped for.
I would hope so.
DC is moving, who knows, we'll just have to wait and see. I enjoyed the movie for the most part. It wasn't the greatest ever, but it was still pretty cool. I think having to wait so many years to finally get to this point really plays into a lot of the frustration.
Yes, he's
but
right.
Perhaps that's what happens when you hype a movie for 3 years.
Thank you!
Get a little out of control. Anyway, is it worth seeing?
Thank you.
So. Is it the greatest movie ever?
No.
Nah. So go check out the movie for yourself, see what you think. I think it's totally worth seeing.
Unfortunately,
I did. Twice, I can say that I enjoyed it much more the second time than I did on the first.
I've noticed that with
said,
some people.
It is in no way a perfect film.
No.
So let's get into the spoilers portion.
All right.
Of the review. Spoiler warning!
I agree with him.
You don't want to have
Mostly.
it ruined. Okay, what did I enjoy? It starts out great, minus the floating boy Bruce Wayne in the Batcave.
That fucking
I actually
shit.
really liked seeing
Jeff Johns.
Batman's point of view during
I
the
agree.
Steel flashback.
This was the
battle.
best part of the
It really put
movie.
in perspective how a human world would view
Yeah,
this.
this was like the
place
best
on
part.
ground level. It basically
Attached
shows what
to Bruce
everyone
Wayne.
disapproved
You're like,
with about
fuck
Man of
yeah.
Steel. I thought that was really well done, but after that, I don't feel like I ever really connected with Bruce Wayne as
True.
a character. I think we were supposed to just be on board with his, yeah, screw Superman, he's dangerous idea. It really worked for me. I feel like Batman should be smart enough to actually like develop some sort of bat lie detector and just hook it up to Superman and say, "Are you here to kill everyone?" And then Superman would just be like, "No, but I think I should ask you the same thing, Mr. Machine Guns." And then they would just awkwardly laugh and then go back to being super pals.
18 months of studying Superman, it was like,
or at least
what?
his car does. I thought Ben Affleck was great as Bruce Wayne.
Cool.
But Batman does shoot people in this movie, and he dreams about shooting people even more. Batman shooting people really threw me off. I didn't enjoy that. To me, Batman shouldn't need firearms, but he uses several. But they were all bad guys, and Captain America shoots bad guys, so why can't Batman? Yeah, I get it. Batman is a ninja to me.
Yes.
He doesn't need a pistol.
Yes.
Even in his dreams.
Yes.
Did you like Wonder Woman? So I thought Wonder Woman was cool. She's just walking around among everyone looking fine. Hey, Wonder Woman, where you going looking so Okay, I'll stop. Her story was like all mystery, which I really liked, but I also liked how she's just already out there and making things happen. I am excited to get to know her character better in following films. What did you think about Lex Luthor?
Yeah.
I surprisingly didn't hate it.
Yeah,
I know he's not like
Me
a
too.
traditional, more classic
Yeah,
Lex, but
it's Alexander
he's way more
Luthor.
dangerous in this film.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting. Like, if Heath Ledger and Gene Hackman made a baby...
Read the
Lex
comics,
Luthor,
Alexander Luthor
baby Lex.
always talks about his
Lex had more
father.
screen time. I think we
Yeah.
could have earned more trust in his role,
Yeah.
but the movie seemed to move really fast, so you're either on board with it or you're not sometimes,
Yeah.
which is my biggest complaint, usually in movies, and especially in this film. Pull over that, moving too fast! Moving too fast! Moving too fast! Batman's having a
I
dream
felt it
right
was
now.
fucking
Now there's
slow.
a random person in a portal in front of his computer screaming at him. Was that the Flash? I don't. Oh, now he has a super bat suit. I
Yes.
wasn't aware that was finished. Okay, now they're
Yes,
fighting.
yes.
Now they are friends. Now Zod is made a monster baby. There is so much happening that by the time we get to the whole versus part of this movie,
Yes.
it feels sort of unsatisfying.
It was like 2
There's so much
hours.
fan service being crammed into this film
Yeah.
that it almost, it's too much. So it's kind of a weird complaint. Like, you're giving me too many things. Stop
Yeah.
it. But anyway, I felt like the movie moved really rapid and hard to even care about things when they were resolved. But then they fight. So the fight breaks out, or no.
No.
It doesn't, really. It's not even a fight. It's like a hostage blackmail scenario. I really hoped that Batman was going to be the instigator that caused Superman to
Right,
snap. That
right.
was going to be the reason.
He was
they
just
would
waiting
fight.
around.
You know, so we could get that actual versus who would win in a fight nonsense that we've been waiting for this whole time. But no, Lex has to kidnap Superman's mom and say, "Kill Batman or she dies." And Superman's like, "Okay, fine," rather than just throwing Lex into the clouds for being a jerk after he threw Lois off the building. So to me, right
Right?
away, the fight is not fair. It's pretty clear that Superman could easily destroy Batman if he wanted to, but he doesn't want to, so he doesn't. And Batman just keeps hitting him with stuff, and eventually gets an easy kryptonite layup for the win. The
Dang,
fight
no.
just felt a little pretend and weak to me.
Yeah, but
After
he...
Man of Steel's battle between Zod and Kal-El, they went all over the city
True,
into space.
true.
I think we all thought Batman would somehow have to hang with Superman in the same regard. I didn't know how they would make that possible because
They
Batman isn't Zod, but I did not expect the versus part of the movie to be in just one area. For me, I think this is the biggest letdown. People were expecting a 45-minute showdown between Batman and Superman, and they
We
got
got 8
really
minutes.
this 8-minute
Yeah.
tussle and a
Yeah.
seriously quick resolution.
Yeah.
I just knew that versus
Ugh.
title was bait when they
Martha.
put Dawn of Justice under the logo. I just knew it. Sneaky hobbits. So then what? Doomsday and Wonder Woman CGI galore. The CG goes from super awesome to really cheesy sometimes. Well, it is worse when the Doomsday battle commences. Once Doomsday enters the scene, there is like explosion after explosion. They like obliterate more and more buildings. What about the Justice League teasers? What did you think about those? I actually think they looked kind of like bonus web material.
Yes!
I mean,
Yes!
for them to finally be here, but
Yes,
I kinda wanted them to
exactly!
show up in
That
the-
shit should have just been on an extra.
Why not? They just show up and start fighting. Like, hi guys, I'm the Flash and I'm really fast. May I be of assistance? Kill that doomsday monster! Maybe that would have ruined Wonder Woman's.
Overhyped music for Wonder Woman, just showing the picture. Yeah.
Gotta have something for later. So they fight Doomsday, and then something happens that did not really shock me at all. Final spoiler warning! Who am I kidding? You probably already had this spoiled for you somewhere on Facebook or Twitter.
Fucking 3 hours after the movie came out.
Superman dies.
Yep.
Spoiler alert. They finally got their Doomsday kills Superman storyline.
So much
Superman
crammed
sacrifices
into
himself, and after that, the movie loses all of its momentum and plays out like it's going to actually have a sad ending. And I thought maybe, just maybe, they were going to have the guts to go for it and leave it at that. But no. They show the dirt on Clark's casket start to float up at the very last second, just in case the deaths of Superman
was too
might
much.
be too much for you.
Yeah.
You chickened out, you pansies!
They should have left him
this
dead.
idea might send you into an imaginative direction and start assuming things to come. They reverse it all and remove all worries about Superman.
Yep. Yeah.
Gotta Gandalf the White that stuff, dude! So what are my final thoughts?
Yeah.
How should it have ended? That comes later. Overall, I think the film was a beautiful, very action-packed, extremely ambitious, just okay film.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
had some really bold
And it's not
ideas, some
supposed to
really
be
nice
okay.
moments, but perhaps it tried to be too many
much,
things
yeah.
all at once. Because I felt a little exhausted when it was over.
Yes.
The theme seemed to be of Lex's perspective that things of power are not innocent, and godlike beings are never good.
Right.
If that was a theme, then really the movie is even more joyless. And people don't want a joyless Superman.
Right. Right.
And I'm hoping, still hoping, that was the point, and that the night is always darkest before the dawn.
I liked.
So that's my handful of thoughts. I would love to go more into this topic, but I've got lots of work to do with our regular How
I got
to
you.
stuff. So let me know if you like this review kind of thing, and maybe we'll do another one someday.
Yeah, please
You
do.
want to leave your own opinions of Dawn of Justice in the comments, so please feel free. Calling it Dawn of Justice because it's not a versus movie. Anyway, feel free to get to it in the comments below if you wish. Alright, that's it. I've got to get back to work. So thank you so much for watching.
You're welcome.
Be sure to subscribe, follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
I feel a little better.
We'll
A
see
little
you next
better.
time.
I feel a little bit better hearing just this dude's opinion on it. Like, I don't know. Like, you know, it's one thing to hear stuff from fans and fanboys and such, but I think it's another to hear something from someone who I use the term professional loosely, but just a professional that's in some form of industry of doing this sort of art and is obviously a fan of the content, but can look at it from different angles and stuff. You know, one of the things I think was really unfair with the critics is Chris Stuckman actually pointed this out, is like, it's kind of unfair to say that the critics, like, there's the critics versus the fans, because many of these critics are fans. That's why they expect so much, but they're just able to look at it without a tinfoil hat, or they can look at it with an open mind, but if they see something that doesn't make sense or that doesn't have the right sort of narrative to tell this type of story, you know, it's one thing, you know, there isn't really there is a conventional way of filmmaking, but at the same time, if you can be unconventional. Nolan is a good example of being unconventional sometimes in his film, in his scripts and such, and making a film. However, he has to be ready for that critique. Interstellar, Bane on a plane, that shit, people really hate it with that fucking audio. Like, he has every right to be unconventional, but overall the movie itself was still good. That's the thing. You can choose to be unconventional. You can choose to take the risk of taking the two biggest iconic superheroes ever and make slight adjustments to dramatic adjustments. You have every right to do that, but be ready for... You can't assume people are going to sit back and be like, yo, okay, I really like that you were fucking edgy with that. Especially given the fact that it was already proven. It was already critiqued to hell with your first out with this Man of Steel. Oh, you don't like Superman being a fucking murderer? You don't like Superman killing villains? Ah, here's Batman with a gun. A lot of guns. Here's a dream sequence of him with guns. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's just kind of like Snyder. Oh my god. Here I go again. Woosa. All I feel is it's kind of like Snyder was just like, he did exactly what Frank Miller did with All-Star Batman and Robin. People didn't like the way that Miller handled All-Star Batman and Robin, right? In the beginning, about him saying, I'm the goddamn Batman. And then he got pissy about it, and then issues after that really hammered down on the fact that I'll call him the goddamn whatever, the goddamn I want, goddamn, and it just became like a big fuck you don't like that? Fuck you, I'm doing it more, basically. And that's how I feel Snyder basically took the critique. Which is so weird because it seems like he addressed the critique of the destruction of Man of Steel, but then made it even worse with... I gotta stop because it's getting into a rant again. My apologies about that. I like the one thing I was gonna say is in the fucking 8 minutes of an actual fight we had, regardless of the way it's set up, regardless of the way it ended, which were both retarded, both of them. I like the fact that the kryptonite wasn't the all end resolution. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, you have kryptonite, I'm done. Like, it was weird because I've never seen like kryptonite that weak, but it was an aerosol. Usually when I've seen kryptonite used as an aerosol, that shit like does him in, basically. And it's really hard for him to burn that shit off. Especially given the fact that there was like no sunlight while they were fighting at night and all that shit. But I did like the fact that the aerosol kryptonite wasn't the end all, and like he occasionally, it weakened him, but it didn't totally disable him, so to speak. It would just kind of handicap them, and gradually he started burning it off every time, so Batman had to keep on using it. For what it was worth, I thought that was fine. There was something they said in here that I didn't like, that Jeff Johns flying fucking bat, flying like Christ, oh my god. But it was a dream. Overall, like when I first saw it, I was just like, what? But it was a dream, so I kind of was like, okay, I'll pass. I didn't like the fact that the first time you really saw Batman in action, doing something was the nightmare sequence, the dream sequence. That was the first time you actually really saw him in action doing something, because previous to that, you just saw him very quickly doing that costume, I don't know. But doing that and then kind of disappearing, and that was it. So the first time you actually really saw him doing something was the nightmare sequence, and it was like, oh, hey, it's Batman. Oh, fuck, why has he got guns and shit? He's snapping niggas' necks left and right. I was just like, I mean, I knew it was a dream sequence, but I was just like, so this is the first time we're going to hear Batfleck talk. And it was kind of like, wow, okay. So, anyways, I don't know what to say about that. And I know a lot of you guys have been emailing me, messaging me, and wanting me to know if I liked Batfleck, if I was fine with Ben Affleck. And honestly, I honestly can't make an accurate judgment call, because I think Ben Affleck, I'm pretty sure he did as the best he could with the material that was given to him. Most of the time, as Bruce Wayne, I could kind of see him as this like Frank Miller, Bruce Wayne version type of thing. I kind of saw him like more like that that one dude he was playing in Hollywoodland or whatever. like, overall, like, I was fine. I was kind of like, I was fine with it. It was passable, I guess. But like I'm saying, I can't really give a. I'm just kind of like, the material, what he was working with. I guess he did his best, but I'm just gonna leave it at the point where I'm gonna be very curious to see what, if they're doing a solo Batman movie, which I'm not happy to hear that Jeff Johns is even involved in that shit, because I read Batman Earth 1 and that's almost just as bad. like I don't understand. I mean, I know why. I know why Jeff Johns is around because he owns part of DC, or he's in charge with Jim Lee. But I mean, there's just so many other Batman writers out there that there's Scott Snyder they could tap into, fucking even Jeff Loeb. God damn it. Anyways, all this being said, I'm curious to see what would happen if they dialed back all the Miller influences, dialed back the rage, brought in, like, understood what Batman means more. That's where it comes into more for me, is the fact, like, I don't understand, like, I can't see how Snyder is so in love with Frank Miller's work, but completely missed the context of what Batman is. Yes, like, there's parts of Miller's Batman that's like a raging brute, but even going back and rewatching The Dark Knight Returns and reading that book, there's still an artistry there of an older Batman, an older Bruce, but he's not fucking broken. Like, this is the point I don't get. It's like, look, breaking, like, I don't even have a problem, actually, like, with the gun situation. I don't have a big problem like I actually am kind of like right in the middle about the killing situation, because it was kind of indirect killing, and I don't even blame Ben Affleck for that. I just think Snyder is a fucking moron for that shit. Because that was just more or less, it just goes back to the same thing about Superman and Zod, right? It's the writer's job not to put their characters in that situation. If they're going to put them in that type of situation, then they better damn well stay true to that character and figure out a way for that character to get out of it. You know, does that kind of make sense what I'm saying? In that sort of thing, if you really, like, why did that dude need to have a flamethrower to begin with? Like, he didn't seem like he was burning much of anything. So that's why I can't, like, the verdict is still out on Batfleck and what Affleck can do, because honestly, I think he seemed like he was doing the best he could, and since he wasn't directing it, you know, he couldn't be the one to call it. And I saw more of what the fuck, Nighthawk or whatever that thing was in Watchmen. I saw more of that same type of character and same sort of angle, like, you know, for example, shooting the flamethrower, right? I was like, wait, I believe you, right? Shoot the flamethrower, kaboom, but he's still able to fucking jump and cover, not even fully cover Martha, just grab Martha. I was like, yeah, this isn't working for me. Yeah. Hey, first lesson canceled. Okay, so I got a little more time. Anyways, I'm done with my rant, guys. Or kind of, those are the things I needed someone to help jumpstart me, like I was saying before. Talk about some of these things. I had no fucks to give when Superman died. Like, I was just like, whatever. Like, I was so, like, done at that point with the movie. I was like, yeah, okay, well, I feel nothing. And then the 3 different separate endings, just like the 3 different separate beginnings, it was just like, how many times can you just end it. Okay, are we almost? Oh my god! And I remember just saying in the movie theater, I was like, after like the first two endings, I was just like, oh my god, just end this movie already. But I agree. I didn't even think about that. How they could have left you with a little bit of something, like a little bit of thought with the Superman, like just wondering if he's ever going to come back, and that probably it would have been much nicer to have seen that in a Justice League teaser or something, showing the casket rise or the dirt rise. Right? It was just like they really should have just inceptioned it instead. But I never even thought about what that actually did to my feeling at the time. I was just kind of watching it. And I'm like, and just knowing the way Snyder directs things, I was like, he's gonna leave something. He's gonna do something. What is a hand gonna come out? Ah, the dirt rose. Okay, I'm done. Fuck it. Like that. I was just like, get me out of here at this point. The therapy continues. The therapy continues. Woosah.